Laser systems are potentially hazardous to something you value highly, your vision. While the dangers of firearms and explosives are obvious, the possibility that a beam of light can cause instant, severe, and irreversible damage to vision are less obvious. New military applications for lasers are being developed every day and can be found almost anywhere in today's Army, and are also used by all other services in theater. These seemingly harmless-looking devices have become an everyday training and operation tool that allows soldiers to employ tactics and perform missions to a much safer degree than in the past. Continued emphasis on proper laser safety is essential to ensure all soldiers know how to safely and properly handle lasers. Leaders must ensure soldiers understand the risk inherent to laser use. There are two categories of effects from green lasers: temporary visual effects and permanent eye injuries. Temporary visual effects may occur at exposure levels below those that cause eye injury and include startle, glare or dazzle, and flash blindness. They usually do not result in any long-term loss of visual function. However, they can disrupt a soldier's ability to perform a mission-critical task. Startle refers to an interruption of a critical task due to the unexpected appearance of a bright light, such as a laser beam. Glare, commonly called dazzle, is a temporary loss of vision or temporary obscuration of a target due to exposure to intense light or a momentary visible laser exposure. This visual effect lasts only while the light is actually present and may be amplified by optics or binoculars. Flash blindness is a visual interference that continues after the source of illumination is removed. Its effects are similar to the effect of a flash bulb and can occur at exposure levels below those that cause permanent damage. Any loss of vision is temporary at low energy levels and can last from seconds to minutes. In addition to the effects listed above, blurred vision, light sensitivity, and headaches are all possible at viewing distances beyond the laser's nominal ocular hazard distance. The NOHD is the distance from the eye to the laser beyond which permanent damage is unlikely. Intrabeam viewing within the NOHD or above the maximum permissible exposure level causes permanent injury to various parts of the eye depending on the wavelength of the laser. The cornea, lens, and retina are the parts of the eye most commonly injured from laser exposure. Exposure to laser light in the visible to near-infrared portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, 400 to 1400 nanometers, is known as the retinal hazard region. This light can damage the retina. The retina is the sensory membrane that lines the back of the eye and functions as the mechanism that gives you vision. The concentration of energy which is focused onto the retina by the lens can be 100,000 times greater than the energy which enters the front of the eye. A laser injury of the peripheral retina, the outer edges, will have a minimal effect on the normal vision function. An individual with isolated laser injuries in the retinal periphery may report having been dazzled at the time of exposure and may detect a dark spot, commonly referred to as a scotoma, in their peripheral vision, but they should be able to perform all fine visual tasks normally. Scotomas are permanent blind spots within the eye's visual field in which the person's vision is absent or deficient. After a period of time, some individuals will adapt to the presence of small to medium-sized scotomas and become unaware of them even though the retina may be permanently damaged. Laser injuries which involve large portions of the peripheral retina may cause large noticeable defects in the individual's peripheral vision. The most severe retinal injuries occur in the fovea. The fovea is a small area of the central retina that gives you the ability to see things sharply. If the fovea is damaged, the individual will be blinded. The individual will retain peripheral vision, but color perception and visual acuity will be reduced significantly. Nearly all documented DoD laser incidents have not resulted in an injury. However, many of these laser incidents have resulted in transient visual symptoms and/or psychological effects. The behavior shown here is not appropriate, and if the beam at any time had engaged the eye, an injury was likely. All investigated laser incidents have been the result of improper and inappropriate illumination of friendly forces or self-inflicted accidental exposure. In most cases, these lasers were being employed to perform missions that they weren't intended for. It has become commonplace to purchase green lasers via credit card outside regular acquisition channels. These laser systems may not have been evaluated by the Army Institute of Public Health to determine their hazards and control measures. Any laser required for mission performance should be issued when you arrive in theater. If not, go through your chain of command to have someone contact the Army Institute of Public Health or PM Soldier Maneuver Sensors for guidance. In the early evening hours of January 2009, a convoy returning to the base was attempting entry through the two-gated, two-tower system at Camp Victory, Baghdad, Iraq. Each of the towers control a pop-up barrier that controls the flow of traffic through the gate. The convoy waiting to enter became impatient and started honking their vehicle's horns, hoping to hurry up their entry past the guards. When that failed to get their desired results, the lead vehicle TC instructed the gunner to alert the guard tower with his laser. The gunner complied and shined his laser at the tower, which exposed the guard on duty to excessive levels of laser radiation.
Cease all laser use while transiting through the ECP.
After the convoy had passed through, the guard called his office and gave a sworn statement about the incident. The guard reported suffering from a headache shortly after the exposure. Within the first 20 minutes, he reported seeing stars much like you would after viewing a bright light source at night. He also had trouble distinguishing colors. The next day, the tower guard complained to his sergeant about vision, but still performed his duties at the tower. On the second day, vision in his right eye was getting progressively worse, and he reported to sick call. He was examined by the ophthalmologist at the medical facility before being evacuated to Germany. The ophthalmologist there dilated his eyes and took pictures of the retina. 7 days later, he was sent to Brooke Army Medical Center for treatment. This exposure led to a permanent partial disability. Another incident happened in January 2009 when a convoy was on a vehicle recovery mission in the vicinity of Joint Base Balad. As part of the security team's escalation of force tactics, a green beam laser pointer was shined on the road or hood of an oncoming vehicle. The convoy was approached from the rear by a fast-moving civilian vehicle. Because of the direction the vehicle was approaching from, the Humvee gunner couldn't rotate his turret to warn his battle buddy. The gunner attempted to shine the handheld laser pointer through the turret window. The laser beam inadvertently struck the mirror and partially reflected back into his right eye. The exposure was reported to be a few seconds. The soldier reported hearing a popping in his head. After that, he couldn't see anything from his right eye. Everything was black. The recovery mission was completed, and they returned to base. 4 days later, he notified his team leader about his vision problem. He was told to put some eye drops in it because it might just be irritated. A couple of days later, he notified his platoon sergeant, who sent him to the Theater Medical Center, where he was evaluated and then sent to Balad for further care. The soldier was also evacuated to Germany and then on to Brooke Army Medical Center for treatment. During an interview at Brooke, he was asked about the spot in his vision. He said, "If I look at you and close my good eye, I can't see any of your face. It's pretty much blacked out." This exposure also led to a permanent partial disability. The increase of Blue Force on Blue Force laser eye incidents reported to in-theater eye clinics, the Tri-Service Laser Hotline, and the U.S. Army Institute of Public Health appears to be cyclic and correspond to the arrival of new units into the theater. The most effective solution is proper training, discipline, and the use of the least hazardous laser that will accomplish the given task. The following are common laser safety practices. A laser safety officer, NCO, is required for all units issued lasers. Ensure laser operators are trained on the proper use of their specific laser systems. Training should be provided to laser operators prior to issuing the laser to them. Allow only properly trained personnel to operate lasers. Annual reviews of SOPs and system laser safety information should be provided by the unit's laser safety officer. Include laser safety precautions when briefing rules of engagement and escalation of force procedures. This should include the NOHD of the laser and directions to not expose personnel within the NOHD. Never attempt to blind an individual by pointing the laser beam at their eyes or face at distances closer than the NOHD for that laser. Provided potential specular reflections are considered, lasers can be effectively and safely used to attract an individual's or group's attention by shining the beam on the ground at their feet or on a nearby wall or structure. Do not look into a laser beam that is directed toward you. The longer the beam is directed into your eyes, the more likely you will receive a severe eye injury. Ensure laser operators know the nominal ocular hazard distance, or NOHD. Ensure laser operators can identify the class of laser they have been issued. Include laser safety information in the unit SOP. Although the majority of green beam laser eye exposures have not resulted in a permanent eye injury or a loss in vision, they still require immediate medical assessment to allow medical professionals to determine the extent of the injury. Laser eye injuries require immediate specialized ophthalmologic care to minimize long-term visual acuity loss. If you experience any of the previously mentioned symptoms following a suspected green beam laser exposure, please notify your chain of command and seek medical assistance. Medical professionals can obtain guidance for laser eye injuries from the Tri-Service Laser Incident Hotline. Incident and accident reports should be submitted through Department of Defense component channels to the Laser Accident and Incident Registry, U.S. Army Institute of Public Health, Tri-Service Vision and Conservation Readiness Program. These reports do not replace established safety investigation procedures or other service-specific notification procedures.